The Boston Celtics tipped off their season 141 days ago, and it feels like for every single one of those 141 days, we have been asking the same questions. Can they figure out how to integrate all that talent? Can guys being asked to settle for lesser roles actually buy in for the good of the group? Some weeks, it looks like yes. Some weeks, it looks like no. Some weeks, the locker room feels like one of those scenes from Mean Girls.
About time to make fetch happen.
Kyrie Irving, in particular, has been vocal about what the Celtics need to do to get their act together. And interestingly, when he and I sat down for an interview a few weeks ago, he explained his thinking about that and what other team inspired it.
People have done it before you. Teammates have done it on even better teams than us now, and they've sacrificed more. There's a team present day that does it, and they have 2 MVPs and, all-stars and stuff like that. There's a way of going about it, but there's a certain mindset that you have to have in order to understand why you're doing it. If you're just sacrificing just to sacrifice and you understand why you're doing it, then, hey, it's not going to be fun all the time.
Not bad.
Very insightful, and Kyrie is absolutely right when he refers to the Warriors there. Yes, of course, collecting some of the most talented humans on the earth has helped Golden State rule the NBA, but it's the willingness to sacrifice and understanding why that's actually powered all that talent. So there was some irony last night as the Celtics looked to get right after a stretch of dispiriting losses that it was at the Warriors' house they were visiting. And some irony that it was against the Warriors that the Celtics finally looked like a cohesive, functioning team. Really, Boston dominated this one from the start, jumping out to an 11-0 lead, and by the time they finished, they set their own season mark for assists. They looked for each other. They played together. They even got a little tough at times. Take a look here. Kyrie hitting the corner 3 and then going right back on the other end, taking the charge from Steph Curry. And when DeMarcus Cousins stepped over Aron Baynes a little bit here, had some words for him, half the team came to defend Baynes. Jayson Tatum even gave Boogie a little shove, despite that Boogie is probably one of the players in the NBA you'd most want to refrain from shoving. Just a little tip there, Jayson, from me to you. Even Gordon Hayward got cooking, scoring 30 off the bench. And while all this came with the Warriors missing Klay Thompson to a knee injury, it was clear this was exactly the kind of win Boston needed. As for the Warriors, well, let's just say the postgame interview room was not exactly a bunch of warm fuzzies. Here's Steve Kerr.
Looked to me like we were jogging up the floor. You can't play basketball jogging. You got to sprint. Your cuts have to be hard. You got to be going all out, and we did not go all out, and it was embarrassing. It starts with a passion and an anger and an intensity. It wasn't there tonight.
So that's not good. Kevin Durant then came into the room a few minutes later and was told about Kerr's anger comment. Here was his reaction.
I thought we move off of joy. Now anger?
That's what your coach said.
Oh, okay. I disagree with that one. We just got to, I think all around, top to bottom, coaches, players, we just got to be better.
KD's testy moment actually came just a little bit later when he was asked about Ron Adams, the Warriors' 70-year-old assistant coach, who's widely considered one of the league's leading defensive gurus.
When you came here, you joked that you came for Ron Adams.
You still talking about me coming here?
No, I'm just talking about Ron. Something you said when you came here. And so I'm wondering now, you know how Ron is about defense. You know him fairly well. How do you think he's dealing with this?
It's about how we all dealing with it.
Stop crying, man.
So yeah, in case you were wondering whether, as of March 5th, 2019, KD is still sensitive about leaving OKC for Golden State, the answer is yes. And predictably, after KD left the podium, there was another round of speculation on what exactly all of this meant, whether the Warriors were starting to look vulnerable, whether Durant was growing frustrated with Kerr. My guess is this was just a bad night. I don't need to be early on predicting the Warriors' demise. They still get credit from me on being the most dominant team on the planet until they prove otherwise. But it was interesting that all of this happened against the Celtics, a team that seems like it could at least challenge Golden State if the two were to meet in an NBA Finals. And that Boston showed the key to mounting that challenge is if they can play more like the Warriors. Yes, on day 141, but also on those key days in June. So let's start there with the Celtics. Kyrie, much more chipper in the post-game interview last night. He was happy. He was laughing. I don't know if the Celtics played canasta or mahjong or something on the plane to Oakland, but Kyrie said the long plane ride was very good for them, was very bonding. So I don't know, Brian. After what you saw last night,
I don't think it was Mahjong.
I'm just saying, is it safe?
Boogie.
Is it safe for fans to jump back on the Celtics bandwagon?
Well, what am I feeling like doing, Rachel?
I know.
I think it's time for the good old cone of uncertainty.
Martini glass of uncertainty.
When you bring the olive, we'll call it the martini glass. This is why the Celtics could be out in the first round or toe-to-toe with the Warriors in the finals, because this team, when they are right, is as talented as any team in the league, maybe except for the Warriors. And when you don't have Klay Thompson and they're playing like this and Gordon Hayward scoring 30 off the bench, they were more talented last night than the Warriors. And this is why the Celtics are a frustrating team, but you should take nothing off the table for what this team could accomplish this year.
Yeah, I want to say that I'm not on the bandwagon because I was never off it because I'm not Tracy McGrady, right?
Come on.
But that's a weird bandwagon because Tracy McGrady was on the championship bandwagon. Then he was off the Celtics bandwagon altogether.
I believe he called it a ship.
It is
I believe that he jumped ship.
Jump ship. But I'm neither of those, right?
Okay.
I'm of the belief that this is a team that has the ingredients to be competitive for an NBA championship. This is the only team I believe in the NBA that has a winning record at Golden State since the Warriors started winning championships. That means something. It doesn't mean, oh, they'll beat them. It means if they have to play the Warriors, there is a lack of a fear factor that many other teams probably do have. Having said that, I think the playoffs bring a certain amount of focus and clarity to roles. What Kyrie's talking about in his sit down with you is the idea that people know what their roles are and accept those roles, right? And that's a lot easier in the playoffs because we're playing the same team over and over again, and we're able to game plan and better define what people are supposed to be doing.
And you get something concrete back, right?